Please silence your cell phones and stand to the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. And we will begin with public comment. Is there anyone here that would like to make public comment? Public comment? Do we have anybody online?
A couple, but just stop. Sure.
Okay, one last time, any public comment? Hearing none, we will move on to approval of the agenda. And I think we might move a couple things around here. So, Michael, I'll start with you.
Yes, thank you. A couple of requests for you today. This was amended just to make that clarification. I reached out to several folks yesterday just to include what is on your agenda right now is H under action item, the public hearing on ordinance number 164. This was scheduled on the 3rd of February, communicated again publicly on the 5th and advertised on our social media outlets, but it escaped me in that first draft. So just wanted to bring that to your attention on the onset. Second, I have a request, staff are requesting that item number letter D under action items, resolution 2026-09 be tabled until the March 17th meeting with an additional work session on the 3rd at 8 a.m. to talk and go through in a little bit more dedicated timeline and effort the parks plan. So the last meeting on the 3rd of February, when we were discussing and Brian stepped through that parks plan, part of that conversation or takeaway was to put together an overall plan for the 8 parks that we maintain. So the draft of that has been done. We'll have a little bit more refinement in the next couple of weeks to put some dollars to those items and bring together a little bit of a cogent recommendation for what that could look like. And then ultimately how we should budget it or approach it from a budgetary model going forward. And partially, I wanted to clarify in the timeline, as you see on the screen, the actual submission deadline for the grant is March 31st. The 27th date is that optional draft application deadline. I still believe we have enough information to submit that and get commentary back from the DNR without actually having to have a resolution finalized. The basis of the request for the resolution is because the grant requires a resolution. So that template, that language comes right out of the grant packet itself, which is what this is. Just so there was clarity around what the actual timeline is surrounding this topic as a whole. So staff would request that that item be tabled until March 17th for decision for action and subsequent request of a March 3rd work session with the board at 8 a.m. to go over a 5-year parks plan.
All right. And we need to take, so when we get there in the agenda, that's when we can take action on that rather than just pull it from the agenda with an amended agenda.
Yes, that would be appropriate, Madam Chair. Just a motion being made to table that. I just wanted to forewarn you of that request ahead of time.
Perfect. Yeah. And I just want to make sure we handle it semi-Robert's rules.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good. All right. Anything else from administration on the agenda?
Not that amends the agenda in any way. I just did hand out a physical copy of resolution 2026-11. So
yes,
with an individual publication, there's extra copies up there. I was curious about the noxious food list items. So just I'll pull it up on the screen when we get to that as well.
Perfect. All right. Then any changes from Commissioner Miller?
No, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Causey?
No, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Christopherson?
Yes, if it's all right with the chair, I'd like to move item H, public hearing on ordinance 164 to the top of the action items.
Yes, we can do that. All right. We will plan to move H up to 6A or whatever.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Commissioner Hargit.
No,
anything
Madam
from
Chair.
you? County Attorney, anything from you? No. Okay, thank you. All right, then, we have an amended agenda and I would look for a motion.
Make that motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Lovett.
Second by Crowley.
Thank you, Commissioner Krause. Any other comments? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. All right, we've got an approved agenda, and our first thing on the agenda today is a presentation on the Cannon Valley Watershed Joint Powers Organization update. Right over there, and can staff make sure that that mic is on, please?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Welcome.
Hi. So do you have a presentation?
Yes.
I'll introduce myself. My name is Emmy Scheffler and I'm with the Riceville Water Conservation District. I'm also contracted as an administrator for the Cannon River Watershed Joint Powers Organization, the CRWJPO, for that, otherwise it is a mouthful, which you guys are a part of. And we are at our 5-year, about midpoint mark of our 10-year plan. So I'd just like to go around to all the different parties and just kind of talk about what we've been doing, kind of about ourselves. Commissioner Christopherson sits on our board, and so he's at our meetings, but I don't know how much the rest of you guys know about our plan. So I just wanted to come talk about it. Planning for the Cannon River Watershed Plan started in 2016, and then we were approved in June of 2020. The Joint Powers Organization was formed in 2019. It was selected by policy members to do a board instead of MOA or any other party. They thought with just as many members, this worked best, and that's how we were formed. So we are a pretty large area. We have 14 members. As you can see, we have Rice, Dakota, Le Sueur, Steele, Waseca, and Goodhue counties and soil and water conservation districts. We also have the Bell Creek Watershed District, that's in Goodhue County, and the North Canyon WMO. That is up in Dakota. And we are also kind of unique that we have a metro party along with what they call outer state as part of it. Most of them are either one or the other, and metro doesn't have to participate, but Dakota decided that they would like to. So we are quite large watershed. However, looking at just the breakdown for you guys, there is 5.3% of the Cannon River watershed is in Waseca County. Relevance, Rice County is the largest area and they're about 27%. So you guys are a little bit on the smaller end. You can see on the map, it's more of that northeast corner. And around 18% of Waseca County is in the Cannon River watershed. So we do get a couple different funding sources. And our biggest one is our watershed-based implementation funding. That is from Bowser, the Board of Water and Soil Resources. As you can see, our first year we got our funding was FY21, a little over 1 million. Up to this past FY25 that we're currently operating with is 1.5 million. We get 3 years to spend that money, and so some of our grants kind of overlap. Our FY23 funds, you can see they're a little bit higher in between, and that was because we did request extra money that they had available to do projects. So that's kind of our big chunk of money where we get from, but we also charge dues. We can charge up to $49,000 annually. However, with our budget, we kind of have set, you know, some of our fund balances. We're kind of up there on those, so we did reduce them. So we are charging 75% of that total amount we can charge currently. Waseca County, you guys are paying $1,500. That is on the lower end, just based off those watershed acres and how much area, just kind of proportional. So you guys are the lower end of those. And then we also have some other grants we have received. CRP initiative incentive funds, those are going away. The state came out with those to try to incentivize CRP signups. Well, really, there wasn't that much money, and they're finding they're not really pushing people to sign up for CRP. So they're kind of just a little extra payment on those. We have received a Regional Development Sustainability Partnership Grant through a U of M extension. I will talk about that when I talk about the flood study. That's for education and outreach with that flood study. We received an MPCA algal bloom sampling, which some of that was done here in Waseca County. We had one lake.
Correct. Clearly.
Yep. So one lake was sampled here, and then also an MPCA is called SWAG, Surface Water Assessment Grant. We did the sampling, and there was, I think, one lake here too. Right,
I think it was outlet one.
yeah. So there has been some of those, extra grants we have received. And so I don't know if you guys we do have an annual report. There's lots of projects on it, lots of data for you guys to look at. This just is our map that we have on our website. Anyone can access to see different points of different projects that have been done. Some of our big past accomplishments is we did septic inventory. That was in LeSueur County on Gorman Volney. And so that is an option at anywhere in our lakes region, which if you guys see kind of from the map, a lot of parts of Waseca are part of that lakes region, parts of it are part of the Straight River region. So that is an option. We also have we can do industrial well ceilings too. So we did one in Red Wing, a large industrial well with the city of Red Wing on an old factory. So that's some of our big projects. Our big projects, a lot of our money is going towards is on structures in the fields, basins, waterways, along with no-till cover crops. We also been doing a lot of shoreline plantings, trying to get those out there. Those are available for everyone. Not even, they don't have to be like a priority lake, because we do have certain priority lakes, but these are just any lake within 300 feet, $500 for 150 square foot planted. So those are some of our big projects that we have been doing along with education outreach. There's been a lot of education outreach across the state for soil health, but there hasn't been a lot of focus on lakes, like smart salting. So we do webinars part of the year, 6 webinars a year. And some of our past have been like on the special carp that's in part of the Cannon Reach, freshwater carp, or walleye, or which one is it? Yeah. What else? Smart salting. We have done flood study work. I'm not in charge of the webinars, so I'm trying to think of which ones we've all done.
Did something like pollinator.
We've done pollinator, septics, yep. So there's been a wide variety, and we also just came out with a video campaign. I don't know if Commissioner Christopherson saw that at our last meeting.
I missed the last meeting.
So we have a video that came out that pretty much we all live downstream, or we all live upstream from someone. Someone was downstream for us. And so it's highlighting everyone can do their part on the watershed. And it's not just farmers, it's not just lake owners, everyone needs to work together. So that video campaign is getting pushed out, hopefully the next few weeks here. So those are some of and then our current activities is we are doing a large stream restoration project in Goodhue. That is going to have a mile of walk-in access along the stream over there for fishing. We are doing lake sampling of lakes that don't have data. So a Lake Francis approached us saying, hey, we want to be a priority lake, but they don't have the data to show that they meet the requirements for priority lakes. We have 2 different types of priority lakes. We have impaired that are nearly impaired. We think we can get them off, and then we have protected. They're clean. We want to keep them. But there's a lot of lakes that are lacking the data because we just took the lakes that MPCA used for their RAPs, their kind of 10-year cycle report. Sadly, we can't use state funds to sample. So as our dues are coming into play, there's I don't know how many lakes in Waseca that need data.
There's 4.
So we will be we're trying to work with lake associations or landowners because you need to go in the middle of that lake to get the samples to try to get a boat. So we are going to be using dues to try to get all the lakes in the canyon sampled. So pretty much when we get to our 10-year mark for plan revision, everyone will be on the same playing field to hopefully that way we're not just selecting those lakes we have data. That hopefully everyone has data and we can try to select a better plan based off of that. We have some lake management plans, which again, we cannot pay for with state funds. Those are one of the few things. But MPCA stepped in, said, hey, we'll actually do them for you. So they're saving us a lot of money, about $20,000 per lake, doing those plans for us. Each county is getting money, around $3,000 from this round funding to do well testing. I don't know what your guys' plans are for your county well testing. Some of them are doing clinics. Rice County, I know we just have kits through our public health, like, hey, where are these kits? They can come in, we can pay for so many kits. It breaks down to about 40 kits. Well sealing is also in our current work plan for even residential well sealing. And so that's being completed. And then we have our big outreach push. We also have videos through KTTC. One was on septic It was a play on Christmas Vacation and basically that shitter's full. So those have been playing across the area too through KTTC, and they've been using it also through like their YouTube streaming videos and all of that. So that's currently what we're doing. I know we have staff here if they want to touch at all about what Waseca specifically has been doing and all with Canton funds, but
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
Thanks, Mark.
you bet. Thank you, Amy. So what we've been able to use or take advantage of, we have 27,000 in contracts for cover crops for no-till in the Cannon. We did one shoreline project on Watkins Lake, and then part of the effort was doing an upper Cannon flood study, so identifying areas in the watershed that can help with water storage. So really the catalyst for that was a horrible flooding in Waterville a couple of years ago. And most of our water from Waseca County makes its way out through Waterville. So we're pretty excited. We did have one area that just is a really great location for that type of project, really tremendous water storage. And we're just starting the landowner outreach to see if they're agreeable to it. So certainly this is 100% dependent on landowners and voluntary cooperation, enrollment. And, you know, our part is seeing if they're open to it and then finding some public funding to help with that. We're not expecting them to donate land. We're expecting to provide compensation, public compensation for public benefit. So those are, I guess, kind of a couple of bigger things that we've been working on.
A question from Commissioner Christopherson.
The water storage study, or you're identifying that, that was just on staff time, or was that through?
Nope, I can actually, the next slide, we'll go a little more. So the Upper Cannon flood study started out, Waterville got special allocation from legislation to do this study. But it's kind of, they didn't time it right and they only had 1 year to complete it, and it takes longer than that. So that money went away. And then Waseca County applied for a FEMA grant and they received it. It's the FEMA Hazard Mitigation Grant. And that pays for the study itself. Bolton and Mink is currently doing that, and it should be completed in about July. The study costs $400,000 to complete. So it does take a lot of funds, and there was a match for that. And so they needed a 25% match. So that was for part of the dues from the Cannon River Watershed Joint Powers Organization 1-2. We put up 20,000 worth of dues for that because it isn't our plan to do a flood study. But again, there's 3 items that we could not pay for in our plan. One of them being a flood study. So considering how much it costs and only putting up 20,000, that was pretty cheap to get the results from that. We can, however, pay to implement the results from the flood study. So the results from the flood study, we can use that watershed-based implementation funding to pay for that. Also with this FEMA grant, there is special FEMA funds available once the study's done to go after other funds to help implement those practices discovered. So we're doing that. We did use our watershed-based funds to do some feasibility studies on wetland restoration sites, one being Waseca County. And then we also got that grant through extension to develop promotion outreach material. Most of us are not good at that type of stuff. We'll admit it. And so we have actually students from U of M doing these programs. So we have this material ready to go because we understand it's going to be a large, diverse area that we're going to try to promote to. We're talking communities, we're talking farmers, we're talking different income brackets. So trying to get the word out and connect it to everyone so they can know we need to all do our part. So we have that grant currently happening. And then we also did get an NRCS Ops short grant who's doing some more feasibility reports. And that also then opens up more funding through NRCS 2 for those results. So it's a lot of different stuff happening with the Upper Cannon flood study. We have a bunch of different moving parts, but trying to just get it so that way we don't just have this study and nothing to help implement it. So there's kind of all that going around, and yes, there will be funds available after. So that's a big part of what we're doing. And then if you want ever more information, we do have a website, and I just have a screenshot here on our website, like where to find that map. So you can see all those projects that, are on there, if you're ever curious. Otherwise, is there any questions?
Any questions for a guest?
Yeah,
Like, just outside of the watershed area, let's say Lake Legion, can funds be used over on that side of the county?
But out of the area,
Yeah.
then no, we can't, but they should have their own watershed plan. And that would be, do you guys know? Okay, yeah, so they have their own watershed plan. I believe, Greg, you're in charge of that one, right?
Yep. Sioux River, watershed one plan, so we have 4 counties, Blue Earth, Waseca, Grayborn, and Faribault. So pretty much kind of the exact same thing, but our map is, a little more kind of west and south, but same implementation and, program.
Do you pick up pretty much the rest of Waseca County? That goes
All the
down?
rest of us.
Okay. Thank you.
Commissioner Christopherson?
Back to the flood, I've got similar situations down in Richland as Waterville has up in Cannon River. And this is a much bigger area that you guys are dealing with to try to mitigate flooding with storage. Not moving water faster, but slowing water down. I'm just curious if there is some success stories somewhere within the state where a study like this has been implemented and actually seen good results. Or are we too early on?
I don't know of any. Have you guys heard of any?
Because the biggest
Yeah.
issue we have like down in New Richland is, we would have to implement 100% of what they had shown as areas in our study to make a 20% impact, so that's, it's hard to hold the water to make impacts downstream.
Yeah, and I know, I don't know of any other studies, and I'll be honest, Holly Bushman from Waseca County, she's kind of the lead on all of this. We've just given money, we've helped with all these different grants, because it's easier to have CRWJPO do it, since we already have a partnership with all these different counties, versus making a new partnership for all of you guys. So I don't know if there has been, and I know it's gonna take doing a lot of practices to make any impact, yeah, so that's why we're trying to get all these different grants out
And I
there.
don't mean to discourage, because anytime we can slow water down in times like that, we have to try to encourage it. And then my last question is, I know when we started out, I probably should know this because I'm on the board, but we had priority areas.
Yep, and we still do, yes.
Yeah, you still have that on the original plan.
Yep, we have priority streams and we have priority lakes that we're looking at. Unfortunately, Waseca County doesn't have any of those, so that's why I didn't really mention them. So those get higher funding. So for structures, there's a 95, 85, 75%. So there's those priority watersheds, those get 85%. There's priority subcatchments in those get that 95%, and then the general watershed 75%. In those lakes and streams, same with like the no-till, those get higher rates. And then there is certain practices like grazing and feedlots that we're focusing in just those priority areas currently. They would like us to focus in, more in those priority areas. So if it comes to projects and funding and we only have enough for one, well, it's in priority area, and for not, the priority area is going to get it. But we also realize, there's a large part of the watershed, and anything you do is going to help it. So that's why we're not just focused on just those areas.
Right. And how are we coming on spending the money? Because we're getting every other year,
Yeah.
a chunk of money.
So like FY23, we did get an extension because of the federal shutdown last fall. There was quite a few projects that they had engineered and we couldn't have staff get out there and do them. So that was why we got an extension. So those funds are almost gone. I think we're at about 90% spent, and those rest are just those projects. And then a few, you have slippage, $600 from this that we're going to move into TA. And then FY25, we just started kind of using those funds since everyone was pushing the 23. So we are about 10% spent on those. But this year, once we get projects signed up, we'll get a big push, along with, we do have some big projects coming on, like some wetland restoration. I know they're looking at Horseshoe Lake area for like wetland restoration. That would be about 100,000 right there on that project. So some of those bigger projects, but we have been spending it down in the time otherwise.
Thank you.
And when you say Horseshoe Lake, you mean in the circle?
Right over there. Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions for our guests?
Just comment, Madam
Yes.
Chair, pertinent to Commissioner Christopherson's question. This project itself was one of the ones that came up in conversation with LeSueur and Rice as part of that overall planning grant request. I can send you the bulletin in terms of maybe a success story that this was completed in 2024. It would be a smaller scale than what the original one is dealing with, but at least a unique approach in terms of this was like a series of earthen embankments and terraces for both sediment control and flood mitigation. But
Please send that to me.
sure.
Thank you. All right. Thank you so much for coming and talking to us today. We appreciate it. Thanks, Mark. All right. Then we will move on to approval of county board minutes. We have 3 sets of minutes here. The Waseca County Drainage Authority meeting minutes from February 2nd, Waseca County Board of Commissioners special meeting, January 26th, and Waseca County Board of Commissioners meeting, regular meeting on February 3rd. If everyone has had a chance to review those, we would look for corrections or a motion in a second to approve them.
I'll make that motion as a slate, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner.
I'll second that motion.
Wonderful. Commissioner, motion by Commissioner Hargit, second by Commissioner Milbreth. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. All right, that our consent agenda has the approval of bills. It has the January 26th monthly electronic funds transfer report. It's got the CERT transfer of funds. It's got recorder's compliance report. It's got a request for out-of-state travel for drug DUI court agent and a request for out-of-state travel for public health to the NACHO 360. And so I would look for a motion and a second, and then I will ask if there's any questions or comments.
Motion to approve by Crowley.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Krause, second by Commissioner Christopherson. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. All right, then on to our action items. And we moved item H up to the beginning of our action items there. And so we want to have a discussion about current state law, which allows rifle across the entire state versus shotgun only, which if we desired to stay shotgun only would take zoning ordinance. Thank you. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you. Michael.
Thanks, Madam Chair. This is a little bit of a recap. First of all, this meeting was scheduled, as I mentioned earlier, February 3rd. We had a public input session with yourselves, board commissioners, on the evening of the 5th. Approximately 50 individuals attended, 13 offering some commentary. In addition to that, I did have a question from one of you, just based upon that list that we brought up with what other kind of decisions were being made or had been made, if anything else has changed. The only thing that I have noted that has changed since that time is Houston County had a public hearing about the same time we did. There were roughly 70 individuals that attended that as well. They now have a second public hearing scheduled for their regular meeting date of March 3rd. Freeborn County originally had stated that we're just not taking any action. They did then end up having a public hearing with a rather significant turnout as well. Melanie had mentioned that A lot of things shared, fairly even split, but went well overall. It's ran smoothly. And they anticipate, again, just continuing the discussion at a future date. Anoka County definitively took no action, so we're sticking with state statute. Someone mentioned Martin County earlier. They actually had voted on an ordinance, the third, and that failed by a vote of 3-2. So that will default to the statute as it's written today. So those are the additional updates from the counties that I know over and above what that attachment stated. I don't have anything necessarily that I have to state specifically in terms of information, but I am happy to do so if there are further questions. We had a more robust PowerPoint in the evening of the 5th. Happy to revisit any of that information if it's helpful. Apart from that, I would just remind that the only thing that's really committed to this morning is the public hearing process. Up to you in terms of any action taken on an ordinance or not. We do know, as just a reminder, that that date was extended by the DNR to May. So what was originally more of a sense of urgency is not as much at this point in time, which is why we're seeing some counties extend that goalpost a little bit. So just want to clarify again what we're up against in terms of dates and times. So ultimately, Madam Chair, staff would request that the public hearing be open and held just to garner any additional comments. As I've stated several times throughout, the public hearing does not require the ordinance, but the ordinance requires the public hearing. So just clarify.
All right. Well, and we are committed to a public hearing, so that's what. And at this point, I would open the public hearing and ask for anyone present who would like to comment on the rifle versus shotgun only and a possible shotgun only ordinance for Waseca County. Is there anyone in the room? Come on up.
My name is Randy Peterson. I live out by Otisco. I hunt deer. I'm in favor of leaving it rifle, not creating ordinance. I think it's going to be better for younger people coming into the sport because of recoil. Might take some deer down. We're overrun with deer. It's nothing to see 45th in an evening. And I know Mr. Johnson had some concern about what other counties do. Kind of the way I look at it, other counties don't pay your salaries. Waseca County does. And you talk about lines. We've had alliance in Minnesota since 1942. Seemed like we get along with it. If Steele County does this, Steele County, Price, the counties around it, they can do what they want. I'm sure the conservation officers, the ones I've talked to, kind of under the table, they said, they hope it's a non-ordinance deal. It's going to make their life easier without having to check what people are shooting. They can do their job, what we hire them for, to protect the game and enforce the game laws and voting laws and whatever. I don't, like I said, you don't know what other counties are doing, but if we make a decision to do non-ordinance, then the other counties can follow us or they can go away from us. I mean, I don't think we should be worried so much what other counties are doing. We're Waseca County. And that's, I don't know. That's all I got to say. Thanks for listening.
Thank you. Anybody else with public comment? Anybody on the line?
Nobody knew that.
Okay, one more time. Anybody here for public comment on this issue? Seeing and hearing none, I would close the public meeting. And let's have a little discussion. If there's one to be had here.
I get, Chair,
Absolutely.
you know, I gotta be honest, when it first came about, my gut feeling was, believe it shotgun. Uh, We've had a lot of discussion with people, looked at statistics. Uh, Doesn't seem to be an issue as far as safety. But, you know, every county's unique in its topography and its openness or whatever. And that's my number one concern is the safety. You know, I'm not real concerned about making it easier to get a deer. I know we do have plenty of deer. And we gotta always be watching in the evenings when we're traveling. But safety is my biggest concern. And my other concern is we leave it, talk has been, we can leave it rifle, you know, don't make an ordinance, see how it goes. Well, then you gotta think about, okay, what constitutes not going well? You know, is it a bullet in a shed up in Sibley County or a house? Is it something that has to happen in Waseca County, or is it something that has to happen in the state? Does it take an injury? Those are just things to think about, you know, what constitutes not going well? But those are also things we can cross, you know, heaven forbid that the first year out, something happens. That's my biggest fear. So I guess that's my input.
Thank you. Other comments from commissioners?
Madam Chair, I have looked at it extensively and I don't want to repeat anything Commissioner Christopherson has spoke about. Yeah, the deer population is growing, but there's also less hunters. It seems to be that's what we've been, the information that has come to us. You know, if we go with rifle, yeah, we can maybe get some of those earlier, younger hunters going, and maybe some of the older hunters. But will the rifle, will that decrease the population? I don't know. We don't know. There's a lot of things we don't know. And it all comes down to preference, responsibility, education, safety, those sorts of things. So I've had quite a few people talk about the preference of hunting, whether they want to hunt with a rifle or with a shotgun. And there's certain groups that want to hunt only with the shotgun.
Mhm.
You know, then there's a few that want to do with the rifle. But it does come down to a preference for those hunters, you know, or the landowners. There was a longer season that was mentioned. You know, that's not up to us. Will it be a little more work from law enforcement? If the ordinance was there, possibly. But there's you know, to find a real good reason right now and all the information that was sent to us, it's hard to come up with a legitimate reason for going with the ordinance. So.
Anyone else comments?
The only comment I have when we talk about safety, it goes on to the responsibility of the individual that is hunting. Nobody else, that person. It's no different than if you stop at a tavern and have too many adult beverages and drive. It's your responsibility to know what your limit is. It's no different than a rifle or a gun. You have to know what your background is and where it's going to go. That's number one taught in firearm safety. And I- It's like anything else. Do we reduce cars? Do we and I'm not gonna get into the woods today. It's just, it falls upon the responsibility of that individual. To know what they're shooting at. We have rifles out there now that are shooting within our county. We have handguns that are shooting just as far. The slugs go quite a distance, 200 yards. And if you put the muzzle loaders in factor, they go just as far as a rifle sometimes. Especially if they're using ball and ammunition. So I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Harvey, you're the only one who hasn't weighed in. Do you have any comments? I'm just asking.
Don't have any more than what the stated by the board. It's the individual's responsibility, hands down. I mean, we sell tobacco license in Waseca County, tobacco license, alcohol license. It's the individual's responsibility to know what they're doing. That's it.
I have appreciated all the education and want to thank staff for doing all they can to make sure that we've had a whole plethora of information to be able to review and think about. Appreciate the public that has come both to our listening session and today. And so I guess the only question we have left is, does anybody want to take action for an ordinance? I mean, that's really the question for us today. And so I think the easiest way to do that is just to see if there is a motion for that. Would anybody want a motion for everybody?
So we need to have a motion to have it fail.
No, I think it fails by lack of a motion, so. I'll ask for a motion. Hearing no motion. No action. Thanks for everybody's doing their homework on this one.
So in the end, it stays with state statute.
It stays with state statute. Yes, yes. And we will leave this right in the lap of our hunters out there to be responsible. And our property owners have some say about what they want to allow on their end. And we're gonna depend on the people in Waseca County making good decisions for themselves in this area.
And I guess, me as the one gentleman that night that got up and he talked about, the property owner can regulate it also. And that makes good sense. In my situation, I can regulate it because we own the property around our site, but there are those individuals that have a plot of land out in the country, but can't regulate that.
Yes.
So I understand that side of it too, that those are the people that maybe hide in the basement that weekend or, maybe it won't be an issue at all, let's hope so. If our hunters are being safe, then there won't be an issue.
Yes.
That can go both ways, but yes, we as property owners also can regulate that if we don't want, people going by our house with a rifle.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks. All right, then we will move on to action item A, contract 812601 for seal coat.
Good morning. Thank you. This will be the first of many contract considerations over the next few board meetings as we kick off our 2026 construction season. Today, as mentioned, is for seal coat. We identified approximately 20 miles of county highways to be seal coated this year, which is right in line with the past handful of years, 20 to 22 miles selected every year. More or less based on year less surface, year less seal coated, kind of looking at that 7 to 10 years of life out of a seal coat before we do it again. And generally speaking, we are seal coating our newly paved roads the year after paving placed. That is our list. I believe there's a map attached to your packet as well, just highlighting those road segments. Additionally, Woodville Township and City of Waseca approached my department this year to be included in our contract. So City of Waseca and Woodville Township both share a portion of the Highlands Road that was reconstructed under a state grant last year. So they were looking at preserving and perpetuating that investment, the seal coat this year. And then Woodville Township also, I believe they overlaid Bunker Drive last year and are looking to do the same. So from a contractual standpoint, the county work is independent of the township and city work, and was established as the base bid. So that is how you'll be awarding the contract, is the low bidder for the county work. And then alternate one is the Highlands Road, which is shared by the city and township. And then alternate number 2 is Bunker Drive, which is 100% Woodville Township. And so again, just to clarify one more time, low bidder is based on the county work, which is, far and above the largest investment. And since it's a county contract, I wanted to protect the county work with the low bidder. Plus, it also provided an opportunity for the city and the township to not award or recommend not awarding those segments in case prices come in higher than they were able to afford. So that's how we set up the bid documents. We advertised in accordance with law, and we opened bids last Thursday. We received 5 bids, and Asphalt Surface Technologies, Aztec, is the low bidder for the base bid. They were also low bidder on alternate 1 and second low bidder on alternate number 2. So almost a clean sweep, but we reviewed the bids with the city and the township that morning, and both are recommending award of alternate 1 and alternate number 2 here today. The city does have a consent agenda item tonight just to formalize that, but engineering is reviewed with the city manager, and again, it's consent agenda tonight, so don't expect any problems. And let's see, low bidder, again, was Aztec with a bid amount of $479,796.95, 18% below our engineer's estimate, mostly due to oil prices being down pretty significantly from last year, 15 to 30% for the oil and the fog oil. So good news for us. And then with award of both alternates, that brings the total contract amount to $523,921.36. Plan to fund our portion of work with road bridge reserves, which is how the 2026 budget was proposed and approved. And then we would invoice the township and the city for their portions of work once completed, as well as our costs for hearing and transporting the aggregate from Corey and Iowa, which they're aware of. So with that, I would recommend award of contract number 812601 to Asphalt Surface Technologies in the amount of $523,921.36 for base bid and both alternates.
You've got a question, go ahead.
Yeah, just a quick, so you're not, alternative 2, we're taking the second lowest bid.
We are.
Farmers wasn't gonna come and do that small.
No,
job.
correct. So it's additive. Yep. Base bid award, then we could add alternate 1 and alternate 2.
So their decision was, they'll have to decide if they're comfortable with that
They are.
second lowest bid.
They are comfortable with it. Yep.
That's it.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll make the motion 812601.
I'll second that.
All right, motion by Commissioner Target, second by Commissioner Milburn. Any other questions, comments? Go ahead, Commissioner Krause.
Is there, where would they be starting? Where do they
Oh, where?
What project would be done first?
Just it depends where they roll in the town and how it works out from there. I guess we're not that far down the road yet. Contract, but
I was just curious
yeah,
if you had anything that you wanted done first or not, so.
usually, again, and they're done in a matter of 2 days or so, so. uh, Wherever they start, it won't take them long to get to the rest of the projects.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign. All right, thank you, Jim,
Thank you.
and thanks for your cooperative work with our townships and cities.
No problem.
I
Absolutely.
know that when we work together, that we all get a better deal, because there's only one staging then.
For sure.
Awesome, thanks.
Thank you.
All right, South Country Health Alliance Delegation Agreement Annual Update. Leah, thanks for being here.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
I'm sorry you don't get Sarah. She is in the center prepping for the SEAL workshop this week, so she's getting ready for that. So what I have before you is the amendment to the delegation agreement between South Country Health Alliance and Waseca County Public Health. There are two changes in this delegation agreement. The first is how South Country will notify care coordinators of hospital admissions or ER visits. And then the second change is in Exhibit E, which is a change in the Community Care Connector Case 8 position rates. We have requested the same amount of hours as we did last year. However, the rate did decrease by $4,460.53 because the case connector that we do have on staff doing this work had a change in their healthcare benefit elections, which decreased their healthcare insurance rate. So there is no levy impact because of that, but it does decrease the amount that South Country will pay us back.
Okay. All right. Any questions for Leah? Thanks for being here. We'll take you anytime.
Okay.
So that's the way we just bill them according to our costs.
For the care connector, the case aid part, they have a form we fill out that says how many hours that this case aid is going to do the work, and we stayed with the same amount that we had last year. But then we have to put amount of insurance that their salary and their insurance benefits, and then that payment is calculated based off that.
So, and we're pretty accurate with the hours that we spend.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And if there is any additional that is client specific, our case aid is billing South Country for that client in specific. So we are regaining cost if they're client specific. This is general connector work that is not associated with a specific client.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
I would move this amendment to the delegation agreement.
All right.
Second by Krause.
All right. Motion by Commissioner Christopherson, second by Commissioner Krause. Any last questions or comments? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. All right. Passes. Thanks, Leah. All right. Next, resolution 2026-08, all hazard mitigation plan. Denise, welcome.
Welcome, good morning. So the Waseca County All Hazard Mitigation Plan is updated every 5 years. And so we have completed the update of the plan, and our next step is to adopt a resolution adopting the plan. And so once the county and all the cities adopt this plan, I will submit it to the state and FEMA. And what that does, it makes us eligible for any FEMA hazard mitigation grant program funding. So my request is for the board to pass a resolution adopting the 2025 hazard mitigation plan.
All right. I said look for a motion in a second, and then we can have any questions or comments.
I'll make that motion of resolution 2026-08.
Thank you.
Second already.
Motion by Commissioner Milbroth, second by Commissioner Hargit. Thank you both. Any questions or comments? Yes, sir.
Did you get enough feedback from everybody to,
Yeah, we had, not all the townships participated, but all the cities did participate and, county departments participated as well. So anything that's in the plan that we would ask any assistance or grant funding for, should be covered in that plan.
I guess I just want to say thanks to all the staff that was involved. I know that you had this up, but it takes folks from across the county staff and with our other local government partners, townships and cities to get a good plan. I know this was on the city of Janesville's agenda just the other day. So
Yes.
I appreciated the work that went into it. And now the newer, more robust website,
Yes.
resources that we have for this.
Yes.
And I know that that's all new and different, and so it
Yes.
takes more work. So
Yes, absolutely.
thanks for making sure that we, through all this work, are eligible for
Yeah,
these other
absolutely.
resources. All right. All right, well, we've got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. All right, hazard mitigation plan.
Thank you.
You bet. All right, and item D is table, so item E.
Well, we gotta have a motion to table.
Oh, yes, we do. Thank you.
Do you want a date on that? March 17th?
Yes, sir.
I would like to table resolution 2026-09 till March 17th.
Second by Krause.
All right, motion by Commissioner Christopherson, second by Commissioner Krause.
one question, do we actually need to put a date on that? Or we just, if we table it, do we have to have a date or can we just say further?
Per friend Robert, yes, you are supposed to table it to a specific date.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. All right, that is tabled to the 17th, then we'll do some education on the 3rd. Item E, resolution 2026-10, donation acceptance for public health outreach. Leah, welcome back.
Hello again. So what we have before you, is the acceptance agreement. Our community health worker, has done some work with SDK Strategic Services, doing some interviews regarding health insurance access for the Minnesota Department of Health. Our community health worker is bilingual, and she has been reaching our Hispanic population. As part of an incentive for this work, the company had been giving participants gift cards for doing this interview. However, because of the political climate, our community health worker was only able to do 3 interviews and was not able to get a 4th person to be interviewed. So there is an extra gift card remaining that SDK would like to donate to the public health department. And we are proposing that as a part of accepting this donation, that we would use it in the future as part of a public event as a door prize to give away.
Okay. Thank you, Leah. Questions or comments? Then I would look for a motion.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion by Commissioner Krause, second by Commissioner Christopherson. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. There we go. Thanks, Leah.
Thank you.
All right, then resolution 2026-11 noxious weed list.
Morning, everybody.
Morning.
So we're a little early to talk about noxious weeds, but with the weather lately, maybe it is right around the corner. Kind of just our annual review of the statewide noxious weed list. Have to post it in a legal newspaper in the county statutorily by May 15th every year. The vast majority of the weeds listed on the list are not in Waseca County, do not affect us. Just listing everything once. But yes, more or less just a review, and if anybody had any questions on it.
Go ahead, Commissioner Crosby.
Is there any new ones? Brian?
So the state has a committee that looks at it and they have to update it once every 3 years, but they more or less update it every year and it does change every year. But 98% of them are nowhere near Waseca County or probably don't even have the potential to be down here, but yeah, it changes every year.
This is not one of those things I sit down and read through it. Fair for me to hear, but
Is there a,
Go ahead.
is there a certain name that you would call buckthorn as a noxious weed, or tree, or plant?
I can just say buckthorn, I guess, but
I don't see that listed.
it's listed under restricted noxious weed ones, glossy buckthorn. I think there might be, there's a couple different kinds, yeah, common
Oh, there
buckthorn.
it is, okay, there it is. Nice.
But it's not in the Waseca County noxious weeds, right? It's in,
Because if it's on the state list, it's on the state list and it doesn't need to be on ours.
I will say, we have, 12 of them listed as our own. The vast majority of counties don't have any listed. We probably have more listed than
oh,
all the other counties combined. And I don't know the history, and I don't think anybody's been on the board long enough to know the history behind that, but
Well, when I look at that list, I think we got a lot of farmers in this county who look at that list and go, yeah, I don't want that stuff around.
but, okay, Chair.
Yeah,
Um,
sure.
So so what's on the Waseca County list isn't necessarily up in the state list.
correct.
It's our own little special list.
Yeah, it's kind of like,
Okay,
we can always be more restrictive on anything than the state.
so we're trying to be more restrictive. That's why I think I thought it was odd, because in your explanation, it has to do, with health or other than just a nasty weed. There's got to be another reason. So I was surprised like common cockleburr would be on the list, but that's because Waseca has designated them alone.
Correct.
Okay, gotcha. And it doesn't hurt other than because we don't get actively out there pursuing.
I will say, like, the stuff listed on our noxious weed list, I never get complaints about. Like I said, I don't know the history about it, but like cockleburr is like, I don't know, somebody just walking through the woods got tired of them sticking to their pants and said, we're gonna start enforcing this majorly. But I mean, those weeds listed on that one, I never get complaints about. I mean, it's mainly thistles and parsnip lately is what I get calls on, but otherwise I don't hear anything on those other ones.
Sure.
Yes.
So do you add? If there's one on there that you think that needs to be on there, do you add it on there?
We would have to have a special meeting, I guess. I'd have to propose it, or the board would have to propose it to me and we'd have to approve it. Same thing with removing them too. We'd have to actually go through the process.
Okay.
Like I said, I've been here 7 years now and they've always been on there and I don't know when they originally put those on there.
Well, I would make a motion to consider one discussion.
All right. So, motion by Commissioner Crosby, second by Commissioner Christopherson. Any comments, questions for staff?
Commissioner Christopherson, what was the white flower in the ditches that are always coming up?
Wild carrot.
Or wild carrot?
It's a wild carrot, but there's another name.
They
for it.
call it Queen Anne's lace. Queen Anne's lace, yeah, it's unrestricted. Noxious weed.
It's on the
It
street.
is here. We have wild carrot or queen Anne's lace. Yeah.
And Mr. Kolar is gone, but I was gonna ask him, I just thought of it now. Are they restricting the spraying in the ditches until later on?
Yeah, they've changed their.
They changed last
As you get west of the county in that Waldorf area is where this has really become an issue. And they did delay the spraying to August or so to get a better kill on that
I think,
particular weed.
yeah, they're doing it later too with, there was a push with like the monarch butterfly migration and stuff. So that, I was talking to Jim, I think probably last year around this time. I think they usually did it earlier in the spring, summertime, and now they pushed it back.
Right. Yeah. And we've also worked with some individuals over there that are, haying a lot of their ditches and letting them take care of the, weeds. So then they can spray around their hay cutting.
Fair enough.
Other comments or questions? All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Thanks for your work on this, Brian. All right. D, resolution 2026-12, authorizing support for the voluntary transfer of South Central Minnesota multi-county HRAs vouchers.
Thanks, Madam Chair. This is been kind of a recurring conversation. And we talked a little bit about this a few meetings ago. So we're anticipating some formal action coming to you. And really, as the purpose states, that's what we're looking for ultimately is voluntary transfer of the Housing Choice Voucher Program to the Blue Earth County EDA, who has been deemed to be adequately staffed and have capacity to take this on behalf of the existing South Central Minnesota multi-county HRA. We still don't have a direct conclusion, I guess I'll call it, for what the multi-county HRA will be. But this is a first step in that direction, or in that ultimately that ultimate decision-making process is getting that HCV program a landing spot. So staff at the HRA ultimately developed a templated resolution and sent that out to counties for consideration. So there is unified language being adopted throughout. So ultimately, resolution 2026-12 is representing that effort, and that's what staff would seek your approval on today.
All right. And I would start by looking for a motion and a second discussion.
I'll make that motion of 2026-12 resolution.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Milbreth, second by Commissioner Christopherson. Any comments or questions? This really is just one step in. Each county in the organization needs to take this step. First, we needed a landing spot for our vouchers. Obviously, a big part of this intent is to have some place where these vouchers can go and be administered so that people have continuity of service. And we do have 55 vouchers as of last count being used in Waseca County. So we want those folks to have housing and we want those landlords to get paid. And then the process of dissolving the multi-county HRA will come as HUD does their part, but we'll be waiting on the federal government for some of those steps. But as soon as each county takes action, then the HRA board can take action. And then it gets pushed up the chain to our regional and federal HUD. Is my understanding.
Yeah, I believe that, like you said, we have to get this in place to go to HUD to see if we can get a sooner release than July 1st.
Yes.
We have to have all these right with our application to try to.
All right. So we have a motion and a second. Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. All right.
I got one more question
Yep.
for our county attorney too. I don't know if you've been contacted yet or had a chance to look at our lease agreement from the HRA. I believe we were gonna send it to all the county attorneys, weren't we?
Oh, no.
Okay,
I,
yes, there's a 5-year clause in there, to, that's gonna be kind of a sticking point. We signed a new lease agreement there, and one of the benefits to a longer term lease was locking in the rate. And so now it's whether we can get out of that lease or how we go about getting out of that lease once this dissolves. You maybe haven't been sent it.
I don't see any emails about it, but
Okay, and that's very possible. The last special meeting, we talked about having our attorneys, but I don't know if we.
I think the general consensus was that really that had to be a private attorney that was working solely on behalf of the HRA, because the HRA was the contractor, not the counties individually.
Okay.
So I believe that's what the discussion was.
Okay. So,
Let me have me.
okay, thank you.
All right, we've already done H, so we are down to administration.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Just to touch on the HR, but kind of going out of order. No, sorry, it's right here. You have a community development update in your inbox. Tina sent you this morning to take a look at. A lot of good things happening, good conversations, some encouraging conversations collaboratively with our cities. So good work there. We'll look for the fruition and completion of those projects in the future to happen as those real boxes get checked. We got our auditors on site today for our preliminary field work for 2025. So good to have them back and get some of those, really the bulk of those questions answered while they're on site. So staff have been helpful with their individual departments answering some of those questions preliminarily for our Baker Tilly team that is on site. And that's why I excused Tammy from participating this morning. She's got some more important things to happen. Not that you weren't important. Just lots and lots of legislative conversation happening. We've secured times to meet with at least staff whilst in DC. The only thing we have not heard finally back on is a time with USDA in concourse with, which was proposed to be Congressman Benstead, Emmer, and Fishbach, Congressperson Fishbach. So that is still looking for a final time. We may end up meeting in the hallway with Senator Smith's staff. Their conference rooms are all booked, but they said that would not deter us. So that's still going to happen. Yeah, and then Senator Klobuchar's staff as well. So we'll at least have a few minutes, and we'll have some information and packets, of course, in hand to distribute to those folks. And we'll probably have another conversation ahead of that of talking points and who wants to discuss what at both the state and the federal level. So that coming back from that shortly after, of course, you have the AMC legislative conference that following week. So kind of same concept, packet information, lots of conversations, lots of things to try to keep straight in our minds. Sent out a note to Tara at New Prairie this morning. AMC was asked to testify Thursday in front of that Health and Human Services Committee about impacts on HR1. So it's gaining more traction at the state level as well, which is good. So hopefully we can come back with some cogent data there to help assist. But just mention that to say that it's getting some traction in St. Paul, which is going to be necessary for further advocacy that happens at the federal level. If we have more of a unified voice from the state standpoint, it's helpful to get a little further. Over the last couple of years, we've had some department presentations in the spring, looking to schedule those again, just as agenda items presentations County attorney did one in the last couple of years, veteran services, public health, other places. If there are specific places you'd like to hear from, happy to take that information with me and notify those individuals. But apart from that, for the next couple of months, we'll try to have 2 or 3 different touch points with those departments as well too, as it just helps to have some general awareness with what's going on in the respective worlds. So just want to make you aware of that. I received a request for AMC appointments. We did have these on your subcommittee list. So I'm assuming nothing has changed, but I just wanted to confirm and give you one more chance to say that nothing has changed as far as your relative AMC appointments. If everyone's happy with where they're at or where they're assigned, I'll just respond to Matt accordingly. But just wanted to make sure that we're on the same page there. Sounds like
everybody's okay.
Okay, cool. Working to get a group together, just keeping the Justice Center conversations moving forward. There's always work happening behind the scenes, I know, with Seth and Brian, but we need a touch point. We're trying to find some dates with the building committee on that. There is that site visit with Wells Concrete Wednesday morning. Commissioner Milbirth will be representing the county at a roundtable regional discussion on mental health, especially in the world of jails and incarceration. That's in Austin, the Hormel Institute with Congressman Finstead and his staff. So thank you for your willingness to do that. So a lot of things happening, a lot of good conversations happening too. Anything for me? Yeah.
As far as the Justice Center, and do you think, do we have any work sessions scheduled at this point, other than when we start getting into budget season? But right now, there's nothing really preset for work sessions.
We don't have a work session scheduled. The next, I believe it is actually the first meeting in March that was on Woodset's schedule to come back to the board and ask for that next set of approvals. So if we don't meet that date, it'll likely then be, of course, the second meeting in March. But in March, if I can say it that way, you should see Woodseth back in front of you with kind of an encapsulation of here's everything we've been talking about from a conceptual design standpoint. And what we're waiting for right now that they have requested is the updated cost estimates, which is ultimately what they're going to be bringing back for approval. There's been various stages of approval, but this will be kind of like, here's the actual amount that we want to take for bid. So looking for your approval on the updated cost figures based upon what Elson and Peterson comes up with.
So would you consider that the point of no return? Is that the decision? That's the decision to do this?
I mean, you ultimately still have to award bids. So there's still several spots along the way. If something really weird happened and that first set of bids came in like 200% over the estimate, I think we'd pause and have some conversation about that.
Mm-hmm.
And important to mention because there is some legislation happening surrounding this process. I don't want to think about it that way, but that may be a pause point in your minds as well too. If nothing happens legislatively and the wheels fall off of the session and we get down to crunch time and they just start throwing omnibus packages together for only the priority items and all of the other miscellaneous stuff falls to the side and we don't have an approval for the collection sales tax, that may be a point where you come back and say, maybe we want to pause. And maybe you don't, but I just mentioned that because the bid packages that would be awarded will come in after you already know that. So you'll know by June if there's legislation or not for Waseca County. And then, of course, we're just looking at the next step, right? We then take that to the constituency as a whole in November, even if that legislation has been authorized. But it's at least part of the decision-making process where if you know legislation has been authorized, you have not yet awarded any bids. So nothing changes in terms of the packet you have. It's marketable at any point in time at that point. It's just may not be marketable in your minds right then and there based upon what you know.
Yeah, I just didn't know if that there was enough where we should have some kind of scheduled work sessions that were staying updated. But maybe that's something that Sharon needs to talk over and see if it's.
Okay.
But we'll, as we get closer, we're gonna continue to get more questions from constituents, so we just want to make sure that we're all informed.
Yeah, absolutely. And that process is in place. You know, it's on that Waseca schedule, but right now we have been in the lull of finalizing schematic design, making changes. And now mostly, it will always be mostly, it'll never be 100% of those changes being captured. But whatever changes at this date and this time are captured, have been captured, getting a final cost estimate based upon all of that data. And then using that data to advertise for bids or solicit bids. Okay, so I'll inquire on that and make sure we get those dates on your radar.
Anything else from Michael?
Mostly is Brian bringing back the outdoor grant. Are we doing that the 3rd or the 17th?
So on the 3rd, at the board's discretion, I would like to have a work session that is just to talk about parks planning. No decisions being made, but getting your insight and having a couple week buffer before staff come back on the 17th with any kind of ask. Or before any kind of ask, I should say. So yeah, that 3rd meeting we'll look at, here's our 8 parks or what we call parks. Here's every place that we have some infrastructure that we have to consider and realistically what our needs assessment will be over the next 5 years. And as best we can infer what the cost implication will be for that needs assessment. And then start talking about dollars and cents. How do we want to plan for this? Are we kind of in a holding pattern from a staff standpoint until grant opportunities like this come up? And then do you want to hear about them? Thanks, Rachel.
Yep, sorry, I have to go
Or not, or like just some better insights so that it doesn't feel like a surprise to the commissioners anytime one of these things comes up. Because I'm sure that has to somewhat be what it feels like because they're always non-budgetary things. We look for an opportunity and then we look for some additional funding to pay for it that doesn't impact the levy in any way. So the alternative to that is, well, what does a budgetary approach look like? Or not look like? And just the various implications as a result.
Okay. Anything else for Michael? If not, human resources, I think we recognized these three folks earlier in the month with anniversaries that either end in 0 or 5. Our county attorney, Rachel, has been with the county 20 years. Sam Holicky James has been with us 10 years in public health. Jill Rates out at the recycling center 5 years. Melissa Sexton, our HR director, has been with us 10 years. Josh Smith, out at the highway shop, 5 years, and Samantha Strand, HR general, 5 years. So those and everybody else, including County Commissioner Milbrook, who's been with us 2 years, and Michael Johnson, who's been with us 6 years. Thanks for your work. All right. And we got administration update, human resources update, administration update. So you don't get
Look at that.
you don't get 2 shots at it, Michael. Sorry.
I got more.
You always got more.
Here. We got time.
We got a little bit of time. Let's do commissioner reports. We're gonna do commissioner reports. So And Commissioner Milbrick looks ready to go, so.
Our last meeting on the third, we had board meeting, we had, CHB. And Brian and I attended the Woodville Township Hall meeting that night. On the fifth, we had a listening session reference to shotgun approvals. On the sixth, Friday, I went to Barb Kitzman's retirement. She was been at the Waseca PD for 42 years. That's for a while.
That's awesome.
On the seventh, I had coffee with the commissioner and I attended the Dark House banquet at the mill. On Monday the 9th, I had MVAC policy meeting in Mankato. On the 27th, we had 2 ditch meetings. Ditch 27. I can't remember what the other ditch was that we had later on that day. And it goes to Saturday the 14th, coffee with the commissioner. Brings us today, we had, Doug and I had a meeting with the sheriff in our board meeting.
Awesome. Thank you. Commissioner Krause.
All right, I'll fumble my way through this. From the board meeting on the third. We had public health in the afternoon. And then, Commissioner Christopherson and I went to Mankato for joint ditch 83. And then made it back just in time for St. Mary's Township at 5 p.m. that day. Wednesday the 4th, PNC, I got PNC, I think Mr. Christopherson and I met with PNC at 12 p.m. that day. Talked about cannabis. Yep. And
For
then
your subcommittee.
for our subcommittee meeting, correct.
What day was that?
The 4th. Yeah, we met at noon. Then Thursday, the 5th, we had 5 p.m. Public meeting on the shotgun. And then planning commission at 7 p.m. We were going to have a public comment on cannabis that evening on a project that got postponed until I think the first meeting in March. Yeah. So there is a project for cannabis that just got postponed. And then let's see. Tuesday the 10th. Yeah, we have 10:30 ditch meeting on CD 27, 3 p.m. meeting that day. And 1 p.m. there was a legislative Region 9 meeting. And then somehow in between, I made it over to Mankato, stopped at Greater Mankato Partnership for Green Scene. And made it over there. I'm not going to go into detail with any of that stuff, but I mean, in the meetings, but then it was, Wilton Township was at 6 p.m. that night. And then Commissioner Christopherson and I were down in Richland for the Camelina, I say it wrong, meeting. That was interesting. So, and then the 12th was the SWCD meeting at 6:30. Yeah, that was busy.
Anything else? For doing us.
No, that was enough for me for a week.
Okay. Commissioner Christopherson?
Okay. See, doesn't always put it where it's supposed to. Yeah, we're starting on the 3rd.
Correct.
We had the CHB, of course, and then we had the Junk Ditch 83 hearing in Blue Earth. 4th, we have P and Z then committee meeting. Thursday, the 5th, I had South Country Health Alliance, the powerful meeting. And then that evening. Seems like it was something else that day. So I got down. And then, the 10th, we had the ditch 27 repair. And then that afternoon, we got together with Freeborn County and Mayor Richland, representation was here for the informational meeting on reroute to that flood mitigation. 11th was the Camelina meeting. All I have down until today when we met with the sheriff at 8 o'clock and Min Prairie this afternoon.
Thank you. Commissioner Harder.
Tuesday, the 3rd was board, and then community health board in Sewer in Waterville. 5 p.m. Woodville Township. They met early because of the caucuses. Thursday, the 5th at 1 p.m. Michael and I went down to Waseca County Historical Society for a leadership meeting. And then at 5 p.m. that night, we had a public forum for shotgun or no. Thursday, the 9th, 7 p.m. I have a fair board meeting. Tuesday, the 10th, County Ditch 27 at 10:30 and 3 p.m. was the JDA informational. Wednesday, the 11th at 6 p.m. we had the Waseca County Historical Society meeting, board meeting. Thursday, the 12th, I went into Public Works at 10:30 for the seal coat bid opening. And I think that brings us to today. And this afternoon, I'll be going up for the second priorities at the XL Energy Center. This afternoon, see this. That's what I have.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
You went to that before,
I went last year, right?
and that is,
Mostly with the,
city.
yes, mostly with
And the city brings some priorities that they want to see.
the addressing and agreed on the list, even though they started to be able, when they're able to come down there.
Okay.
All right, just like the rest of you, we had a board meeting on the 3rd and then community health board on the 4th. I had a joint leadership team for public health in the afternoon in Twin Cities up at MCIT. At least they have parking at MCIT. Makes it so much easier. Then on the 5th, I sat in on a Teams meeting for the Anoka Juvenile Detention Center that we are contracted with from Min Prairie. So I sat in on that meeting. It was, I'm the alternate from the Min Prairie board to that particular committee. And of course, it was interesting to see the statistics from last year at Anoka and who's using how many beds and how much space they have or don't have. And some of the projects that they have coming as far as building maintenance and grounds maintenance. Then we were all here together for 5 p.m. for the shotgun only zone conversation. And it was great to hear, to have a full room and to hear from the public. That was awesome. On the 6th, I spent the day packing and getting ready to go on vacation, which was awesome. On the 9th, I tried to get into the Waseca County Collaborative for Families board meeting remotely. And Teams would work, but Zoom would not. I do not know why, but Zoom just told me it. I tried it, 2 different devices and 8 ways from Sunday, and so ended up having to text Nicole and say, can't do it. And then I bugged Michael and said, please help me test Teams so I can make sure that I can get into Teams meeting. And it worked. So I saw you all on the Teams meetings for CD 27 on the 10th at 10:30 and the CD 47 Joint Ditch 6 board meeting. Thank you for leading that and leading it well and for allowing me to listen in and learn with you all. That's going to be we got to understand that. So I appreciated your leadership there. The rest of the week, I played where it was warm. Got back yesterday, had a couple phone calls. And here we are today. This afternoon, I'll be chairing the Mid-Parade Finance Committee meeting for the first time, and hopefully that goes smoothly. And I may have to lead the Joint Powers Board. Tim may or may not get there, so we'll see. I will be down at that Finstead Roundtable only at the beginning for a little while to listen in, but then I'm going to head over to Wells from there so that I'm over at Wells Concrete. You are going to for sure be on the HRA meeting.
Yes,
Okay.
tomorrow
At
noon.
I may not be able to get on there. We'll see. I might bring it up on my phone just because I know it's not going to take very long. But we'll see where we're at. All right, that's where we're at. We've got NACO coming up. There's a few of us heading out there. Then we get back from that next week, and the following week is AMC Ledge Conference. And I know we're booked for that. And this is a chance to do our job, talking to our legislators, helping them understand what we need here, and learning about systems and how we can bring more of those resources back to us economy. So thanks everybody for managing busy calendars. I appreciate it. Anything else, sir?
Do we have a list that we're going to add for the legislators?
It's a priority list?
Yes. Yeah, I know you have it. I just,
A packet for us, don't worry.
okay.
Some of that got put together when Congressman Finstead was here.
Okay.
And a couple of discussions with him. And so the list is well started and
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
You won't be surprised by a single thing on it, not anything.
Did you give me something?
Christmas. All right.
I just got one quick thing to add. Is one quick thing.
That's okay.
On the cannabis stuff.
Yes.
So as we got one producer that's looking at doing a project. But it remains unclear because cannabis is approved by the state, but not by the federal. If you're growing corn and soybeans, if you're in the ag, you have the possibility, and it's unclear that you could risk the potential for losing the federal aid or federal dollars or in federal programs.
Yeah, maybe something that we need to ask.
That's something to be clarified yet, so I just wanted to give you an update on that, so
Can I add to that?
Please do.
you may.
Part of it, okay, just 1 minute. Yeah, start the clock. The part of that conversation that I want to put in your forefront is if that ends up being an implication, we don't know yet, but if it ends up being an implication, where is the county interested? Is the county interested in providing a creative solution without the implication? county owns some tillable acres that are currently leased. And this project is not beholden to this particular area. And yeah, smartly, the owner stepped back and said, well, I should probably answer these questions first, which makes sense, obviously. But right now, this meeting is pushed to March. And we'll see if it's answered by March from a federal standpoint. But I just want to thinking that agricultural team plant that seed in your minds. As far as this exact same project works just as well on ground that has no federal implication. And is potential development opportunity as a result.
I wonder if there'd be any other federal implications outside ag.
Right.
Just the following, the feds rescheduled the marijuana, that reschedule and change that as a lesser.
Did they reschedule it? I know they were proposing a reschedule.
I thought they rescheduled it.
The low potency.
Yeah. To lower it, so it would open up, more opportunities for individuals, like for banking.
Oh, that wasn't for road use. That was just to take it off of Schedule 1, down to
Yeah.
Schedule 3.
Yes,
Yes.
that's what I meant by.
I don't know if that has happened yet. I saw that it was proposed. I guess I don't know if it's happened.
Yeah, because you couldn't secure any loans that were FDIC backed at all. In theory.
I might have an issue with growing marijuana on county property. Me personally, I do.
Look,
That's why we might have to have that conversation.
One more. Does anyone remember what the going rate was for solar farm lease per acre? $1,100. 1,100 per year per acre.
I think it varied.
It did
Oh,
vary.
it does.
It was from 1,000 to
It's
12.
negotiated.
yeah,
Cause I
I had 12 in my head, so that makes sense.
gotta think with Brian, so I gotta figure out.
Well, I'm just gonna let you know that I'm assuming you're all gonna get a letter from AMC, how AMC works for Waseca County. It's a letter from Julie talking about what it was a roundup of last year, how we've been involved, what learning and member program opportunities are available. I'm really pretty sure I didn't just get this as the chair. I think this is coming out to all members. So some of it will be an exact replica of what I have here. But it's an interesting roundup of the work of AMC last year.
It must be asking for dues pretty quick.
They already did that. Yeah, for sure.
Just the funding.
Well, there is some of that for sure. But anyway, telling you what all they've been up to, another wrap up. So anything else?
Sheriff, got any updates for us? How's the lakes?
Soft.
Lakes have solid ice, but public accesses are starting to deteriorate. Had a good weekend of children's fishing event on Clear Lake. 30-40 plus people were there. And then there was an ice fishing contest on St. Olaf Lake down in Richland, and the ice was solid, great attendance, and everything was under control down there. So we'll see what the end of the week brings with temperatures dropping, maybe solidify the ice a little bit more, get a longer fishing season, and for the diehards. But other than that, nothing else to report.
Is Slay and Cutter coming up this weekend?
Slay and Cutter is scheduled, main event is scheduled for the weekend of Friday, February 27th, and Saturday, February 28th, with a Slay and Cutter dinner and dance, and then revealing a Frosty on the 27th, and then on Saturday, the 28th, is the Slay and Cutter parade, longest running horse parade in the nation. It starts at 12 o'clock noon, and it'll start at the fairgrounds and run through downtown Waseca and back to the fairgrounds. And then there was, slate and cutter races, snowmobile races, drag races that were scheduled for the 28th. There's some question of whether or not they'll be here in Waseca County or not, or have to be moved because of the ice. I have not heard any reports on that.
Thank you, Sheriff.
You bet.
All right, we've covered it all. Thanks, everybody. I would look for a motion. to adjourn. Thank you, Commissioner Krause. Second.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Christopherson. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
One. Which side of that were you on?
That was slow.
Okay. 5-0. We won't make this harder for Beth than it needs to be. It is a 5-0. We are.